Back in those days, for us to build a house, you would turn up with your shovel and your pick and you'd dig your foundations by hand. You'd lay the concrete by hand with a mixer on site. All your plumbing work was all kind of laid out. It was checked, but it could be within 200 mil, or back in those days, 8 inches out of plumb. Then the next stage was you brought all your timber on site and you build your frames laid down on the concrete slab, stand them all up. Then you'd have to stand your roof frame up, nail it all together by hand. Now we turn up, everything's pre-manufactured with gang nails. It turns up on site on the back of a truck. It's craned on site. You stand everything up, hit it with a nail gun, put your roof trusses on with a crane, lay out all your battens, get your tiler in. Before you know it, you've got a lock-up. And it only takes a maximum of 3 months to do a house, where back in those days it'd be 6 to 8 months. Equipment we've got now, our tools are much more efficient, they're lighter, they're all battery operated now. We don't have to have power cords everywhere and cables off the ground and wet areas covered and that sort of thing. It's all done by hand with battery operated hand tools. The other thing I've noticed too when I came to Brisbane, as compared to working in Sydney, if you wanted something like 75 by 38 hardwood or something rough sawn, you'd go down in Sydney, you'd go down to your timber merchant and they'd have it on the shelf. Whereas on the Gold Coast in Brisbane back in the late 80s, you had to order it in. So you'd have to wait a week sometimes to have a truckload of timber turn up, and it'd all turn up and it'd be all bent and twisted and it wouldn't be good enough to use in a house. They'd have to wait for the next load to come in. Whereas it's now grown to a point where most of the bigger companies have got all the stock on the shelf and you just go and buy it the same day.